Hey everybody, and welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave here on a Wednesday to say hello. How is everybody? And yes, it is peak season going on. A couple of interesting things going on out there. Number one, I would like to mention that it was reported yesterday that Black Friday and Cyber Monday were above projections in total sales by millions of dollars, billions. I mean, we're talking billions, but I think we were up overall 5.8% even during a recession, which means busy time of the year for the people in trucking, and it means going to be doing a lot. So there we go, and there we have it. I'll tell you, it is going to be a fun and cool time this holiday season. Are you out there buying more? Well, then you need to get out there and buy more. You need to find those presents for the kids. And you know what? If you can, go out there and find for the kids that don't have anything as well. Find that charity that's around you. Find that charity that you're close to. And find the one that you can help out right away. There's always a charity in regards around this Christmas holidays. You can do the angel thing, the angel tree, right? Isn't that what isn't that called?
I was about to ask you if there's any that you're partial to.
We do the angel tree, and we also go. There's an angel tree at the mall where we like to go. My wife and I and a couple of friends, and we go pick some off. And then on there, it's got like things that you're supposed to go get, and so we go around the mall and we buy those things together. So we really don't get each other anything, but we get stuff on the angel tree, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
That's it. And we get to hang out with our friends, and then we go eat after that. And maybe, just maybe, I get to have a cocktail after all that walking.
Maybe. So,
what?
My sister, and she got a bunch of her friends and some of the family, 20 people or families off the angel tree this year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
I'm a Toys for Tots person, but she does the angel tree. And
yeah, there's a couple of them that my wife's really, really likes. It's called Snow. It's for the children whose parents were killed in active duty.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it's called, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. She's a big into that. She goes and volunteers every year over there, and pretty cool stuff. So anyway, if you get a chance, volunteer, get a chance, get out, make sure it's never too early and it's never too late to be charitable. Second, I want to remind everybody, this cold weather is starting to grip the country. I want you to be aware of, if you've got trucks out there on the road, or if you talk to somebody out there, make sure they understand that if they come from the south, like let's just say, for example, you fill up in Houston, Texas, and you drive north. And you drive north, and let's say you get to Kansas, or you get up there, and it's cold. I'm just saying, that is not blended fuel in Houston. So it also, make sure you understand that blended fuel, what it means, what it does, and how it can save you from having your diesel gel up. You get down to around 16 degrees, that diesel starts to gel up. That diesel starts to have a problem, make a mess, and have difficulty. So you want to make sure that you understand what blended fuel is, how it can save you problems out there on the road. I will tell you, as it gets colder, you want to make sure, and it's okay to buy fuel that's not blended. You can always add an additive. There's some famous ones out there, House and stuff like that. It can help you, and it's not a promotion for House. I'm just saying as an example. You can go out there and you can get a fuel additive to help thin the fuel, help get it through the fuel filters, and help you run a little bit better out there in the ice cold and the very, very cold temperatures. All right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the interview today. We'll be back in just a minute. We have Tanya on the line, and we're going to talk a little bit about being healthier in just a second. Be right back.
You're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now at 21% of record freight being rejected. News
down in Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We had another $1.5 million seizure. If ever there's a time to do a pre or post trip, It's if you're doing something wrong.
Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You can kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety.
One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into an intersection, yellow is not the way. That's to clear an intersection, not to enter an intersection.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
All right, and welcome back here to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave here, along with Tanya. All right, so really quick, before I go any further, my wife will kill me if I don't get it right. It's Snowball Express. That is the charitable organization in which fallen heroes' children to help provide some of the stuff for them during the holidays. If I didn't, Tanya, I'm just saying, if I didn't get that in right, yeah, there's no reason to go home. I mean, it's just,
I gotcha.
I mean, there's just no reason. I mean, I'll figure that out later unless I'm just ready to take a butt whipping. Tanya, let's talk. Introduce yourself over there at Wellness Solutions. Why don't you tell us who you are and what you do?
I'm Tanya Jolliffe, and I'm the founder and provider of LIT Wellness Solutions. We're a coaching and consulting company, and we kind of help people live healthier lives by looking at the what and the why and the how of what they eat and how active they are.
You know what? I tell you what. Here's my deal: is you're an author as well. You've written a book that's out. Why don't you tell us about the book real quick? Because I don't want to not put that out there on the table.
Well, I appreciate that. Author Mindful Me Journey, a 40-day guided journal toward a healthier relationship with food and exercise. And it's basically not a reading book. It's a doing book. It kind of helps you look at the what and the why of food and activity. And then you can begin to put the strategies in place for how to make healthier changes.
The only question that I have, and I'm going to ask, is a lot of like pictures and graphs and charts and not a lot of words. I mean, I just want to know, that way make it easier reading for some of us, right? Or
this is journaling. So this is actually understanding what did I put in my mouth and why.
Oh, no, I've got to explain what I eat?
You got to explain kind of an understand. You know, there's mindfulness, and then there's intuitive eating. And intuitive eating can't happen until you're mindful about what and why you're eating it. Are you eating from stress? Are you eating from hunger? Are you eating from boredom? What is the reason you're eating? And when you can start to understand those parts and those pieces, then you're better able to decide what's the best strategy for change.
Yeah, and I think that's great and fantastic. I'm just going to tell you, I'm guilty of all of those regularly, probably more than most. And we are doing everything to correct that. I have, you know, we met at the Women in Trucking Conference and visited there, and fantastic stuff. In fact, we got on a pretty good topic over there talking about wellness, talking about drivers, and I think that's something that we should continue. That's something we need to continue to talk about. It needs to be we need to continue to talk about the health of the people that we have in the industry, and teach the next generation not to be as bad as we were. I'm just saying, so I'm going to tell you, here's the deal. And I know we're going to get to this in a minute, but I go to a truck stop and I'm hungry, and I'm going to tell you, the weenies on the rolling machine, they're cheap and they look good. I'm just saying. I don't know, Tanya. I know that's bad, but they're they're quick, they're filling, and they do have some healthy options out there. I don't think they have as many, and I don't think they have as well priced as they do on the processed food. Would you agree?
I would agree with you. I think pretty much they have made it that the cheap food is the junk food. And I don't mean junk as in candy, pies, cakes, cookies. I mean junk related to less nutrient value. And that's really where we want the conversation to go. You know, what are you fueling your body with? And those weenie rollers, if you look at it, they got a lot of fillers and a lot of stuff that's not really fueling your body. And one of the things that a driver especially has to understand, because, you know, you guys are the safest station in the nation, and we got to talk safety, and what you eat and drink every day affects your safety behind the wheel, on the dock, and even in the office.
So, and I'm going to tell you that. I like to, let's jump out to the major problem. What are the 4 major contributors that lead to the death among our drivers in this industry? And well, I know it's not crashes. It's not crashes.
No, high blood pressure is really a large one. Uncontrolled diabetes, uncontrolled heart disease, and uncontrolled weight contributes to all 3 of those. And I hate the word obesity because that leads into a whole lot of other, you know, shaming and a lot of, you know, things that we don't need to discuss. Increasing weight or unmanaged weight influences health management in general. And so, you know, even managing your weight in terms of maintaining your weight. If the average weight gain is 5 pounds a decade and you maintain your weight and you don't gain 5 pounds in a decade, that's weight management. And so we always focus on loss, but we can look at management. We can look at maintaining, and those are pluses. But increased weight influences the ability to manage health conditions. And that's what we want to look at, is managing health conditions. I just spoke with a driver yesterday, and we were talking about DOT readiness, and because his upcoming physical. But he is on blood pressure medication, but he's not taking it regularly. And when he tells me what his blood pressure is, it's 145 over 92. So you provide the education and you say, okay, well, you're not going to pass your DOT physical with that. You're going to get a 90-day card. But the second part of that is, if that's what you are at rest, you're probably well up in the 150 range or stage 2 hypertension when you're actually dealing with stress and behind the wheel. That's a safety risk. That's a safety risk for a heart attack. That's a safety risk for a stroke. And no company wants to find their driver in a cab that has deceased. And no company wants to deal with the catastrophe that happens if an incident happens behind the wheel. And yet that's the risk that every company is facing when they have unwell drivers behind the wheel.
Yeah, look, there is no doubt in anybody's mind that we don't, as a nation, eat very well, right? I mean, let's be honest. We're not good at it. We make bad decisions when it comes to food as a whole. I don't mean not individually. I mean as a group. And truck driving as a group as well, historically, has really not made great decisions out there for our drivers. I think, you know, I think for the first time in a long time, I don't think it's been long going. I think it's been more recent years that carriers and corporations and businesses are starting to realize, yeah, it's kind of your responsibility too to help provide some of these things. And the reason I say that is, number one, they're going to lose their workforce prematurely. Number two, the cost of insurance that they're providing as a health care is going to be substantially a lot more if you have a bunch of unhealthy people on your insurance ticket, right? I mean, isn't that kind of how that goes?
Right. And that's one of the things with the aging workforce. You know, you look at an aging workforce that is more and more unhealthy. When that driver came to you in his late 20s, early 30s, he had a 2-year card. He didn't have really many medical conditions he was managing. He didn't cost you a lot. But now, 20 years later, the lifestyle of the driver has caught up with him. He's now got 2 medical conditions he's dealing with. He's got a 1-year card that he's fighting not to get a 90-day card every year. And it's costing more and more and more. And the reality is that corporate wellness, the studies show that corporate wellness that just provides programs has not saved healthcare dollars. That's where the whole culture conversation comes in. Because if your company is saying, here, this is for you to do, and it's not who we are as a company, we're not going to see the return on investment. And we're not going to see a driver or an employee prioritizing their health and well-being. Because that's what it comes down to. A driver has limited time every day. And so they have to have a reason for their health and wellness to matter. And if it matters to the company, and they show that it matters to the company, it will matter to them.
Yeah. So how do we get this? I'm just gonna go. How do we get ownership, leadership, upper management to buy in to these investment dollars? Because that's ultimately what you're talking about, right? I mean, we're talking about spending money inside the office to help create these cultures, right?
Well, when they look at what they're spending for healthcare and they look at what they're spending for programming that isn't being used, you're providing health and wellness programs, you're providing employee assistance programs. And when you look that they're only 10% utilized, that's a waste of money because it's not creating the desired outcome that you're looking for. So that's one of the things that I bring to the table, and what the new culture discussion is really bringing to the table is, what is your desired outcome? Is it to save drivers? Is it to save money? Is it to save, create the dialogue of health and well-being is important? And then how do what you do and the way you do it as a company, how does that align with it? And I'll give you a good example. I worked with a company as a health coach several years ago, and I was sitting as an on-site health coach, and I was amazed that these new younger guys would come in, and they normally worked kind of the later shifts. And a guy that I'd gotten to know, he was on a really nice route for, in the morning. And he said, oh, I won't be here long. I'm just filling in for somebody who's sick. And as soon as he comes back, I'll get bumped again. And I said, oh, well, that's unfortunate. And I noticed there's not a lot of younger guys. And he says, oh, that's because this is a seniority. Routes are awarded by seniority. So their policies were running off the younger people that they really wanted to attract. And in bringing that up to the safety director, the comment was, well, that's the way we've always done it. Okay, well, the way you always done it as a 50-year-old company probably worked 50 years ago, but it might not be the policy that's going to reach the other areas of your business that you're trying to attract. So it's those silos and bringing the right people to the table and saying, okay, is this the outcome you're intending, and how can we make that change?
So, change is hard. Obviously, we've all created these habits. Obviously, I didn't get like this overnight, right? I didn't get overweight overnight. But it's believed that people are responsible for their own health. Pretty much as a people, you're responsible for the decisions you make for yourself. And those decisions that you make are yours to make. And if you choose to not eat well, then that's on you, right? And that's been the misconception for a lot of people for a long time, I believe. When I think... Go ahead. I was just going to say, I believe that that's true, that my health is my responsibility. But as a company, if your company says, as a company, we care about our people, right? If that's a core value of who you are, I care about you as a person. And part of caring about you as a person is caring about all aspects of your life. Your physical well-being, your mental well-being, your emotional well-being, your social well-being, your financial well-being. That's a whole person and a whole life. Nobody compartmentalizes themselves. They don't come to work and they leave the family issue at home. They don't come to work and leave the financial issue at home. They don't come to work and leave the medical condition at home. It all comes with them. And when we can start to recognize that part of good corporate leadership is recognizing that we care about everything that we're putting behind the truck, that we're putting that person behind a very expensive vehicle, right? With an expectation that they're going to get it from point A to point B. But if those issues that they're dealing with in their life are limiting their productivity,
are limiting their outcome, are limiting the safety for our company, we should be caring about those things.
Absolutely. I'm not ever going to shy away from the idea that safety is just not stepping into danger. It's also preparing yourself not to have to be there, and that includes mental health, that includes physical health, that includes emotional health, and that includes making sure the person is 100% behind the wheel of the vehicle. I mean, I think it matters, and I think it's a real, honest conversation, and I'm almost to the mindset that we really as an industry don't understand it yet or have fully grasped it wholly, because otherwise we wouldn't have this rampant issue going on. Now, are we changing? Yes. Are we doing a little better? Yes. Is there a lot of work to do? Yes. And I guess my question in this point is, where do you find the most resistance to these, when you step in and as a coach and you step into a room full of managers or leadership of a company, where do you usually find the most resistance?
Well, the resistance is it's always the dollars and cents, and they don't want to go beyond we've already provided a wellness program. And you try to say, well, we're not really wanting to talk about a wellness program. We're wanting to talk about your culture. And when you start to say, okay, tell me your metrics. Let's talk about your metrics. And then you start to say, okay, how are those metrics influenced? What are the processes that are influencing those metrics? And then you walk it back. But you have to have an open heart and an open mind to look at it differently. What I can bring to the table, or anybody bringing a culture discussion to the table, we're going to look at it differently. We're going to look at your metrics, but we're going to look at how you got to the metrics. Sometimes management just wants to look at the bottom line. Well, if you're only look at the bottom line and you're not looking at how you got there, you're going to just keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again. You know, again, you're going to put more stuff on the truck to monitor and manage the driver. Okay, well, you're putting more stuff on the truck. You've told me that the driver left the lane. Let's look at why the driver left the lane. That's how you're going to create change, by understanding the why, not the what.
Let me ask you a quick question as we go forward on this. You know, to me, really, when you're talking and you talk about going in and you're talking about metrics and you're talking about, I truly believe when you step in there and you start discussing this, you're actually not what's important or priorities. You're actually going in and start talking about core values, and which is a totally different conversation about we can talk about what's important all day. You know, we can talk about what's important, but a value can't change, right? I mean, a principal value that you have just should never change. Is life important to you? Yes. If that's important to you and that's a value, that life comes first, that's not just important, that's a value. And those other things that we're talking about, I truly believe what you're discussing here is changing values in people's lives within a company. No longer is it just, I mean, you know, sure, it's not against the law. I mean, we can talk value important, but I think you're going after a lot of our core values in this ideology, and that's hard to change or hard to bring forward, because really those values are already there with those people. They're just using what's important to do other things. You know, I use this as a safety example. If your value is to never, ever, ever, that life is more important than anything, then why would you ever speed? Because speeding leads to crashing. Crashing leads to death. And if life is more important to you than anything, it's okay to be late sometimes. I mean, because, I mean, it's, you know, but being on time is pretty important. But not if it goes against your value. And I think, and I like this, because that's what I feel like you're discussing, is a change of a value of not only the company and its people, but creating that culture based upon those values. What's the best way to go about doing that?
Well, part of the whole thing is having the understanding that a core value is not just something you put down on paper.
No,
It's actually how you do everything about your business.
absolutely.
And we have yet to have a company say that health and wellness is one of their core values. But I have worked with some companies, some nonprofits that have taken that step and have said, we are making health and wellness a core value. And I will tell you, the younger generation that you're wanting to attract and keep, they care about that far more than they care about financial compensation in many, many cases. Because work-life balance to them is a vital value over making an extra $20 this week.
Oh,
So-
I agree with you 100% on that. It's true in that entire, and I see the next generation coming along, placing a greater value on those balances in life, and including the baby kale. You know what I
That's
mean?
right. That's exactly right. So what are you putting in your, what are you, as again, you're trying to attract and keep. So you've got a cafeteria. What are you serving in your cafeteria? And the same will be true with the weenies that are on the roller that you were using at the truck stops. They will have to change as well. As companies are pushing change, then those businesses will have to make change. And the change is going to be slow. You do not turn the Titanic in, a day. But it takes those companies that are forward thinking to say, you know what, I am ready to take a step forward, because what we are doing right now is just the same thing over and over, and it's insanity. And I want to do things different. And I do care about my people. I do lead a company that cares. And we're going to lead by example, and that comes from management on down. It can't be something that you provide and say, you all need to do this from the bottom up. It's got to be led from the top down.
Yeah, I mean, it won't do any good. To me, it's the same thing. It's safety. I mean, if you want safety culture, it's got to start from the very top and work its way down and be across the board. It can't just be one set of people. It can't just be the driver. And
That's
here,
right.
and I think we're talking about the exact same thing in health and wellness. Let's just go. What are some? And I know. Let's be honest with one another. There's no silver bullet answer to any of this, is there? There's no true one. This is a multi-step process that we all have to do in order to be healthier and weller and better about our lives and doing and wanting more from it, because I don't want to die from diabetes. I mean, right? I mean, I'm going to be honest. There you go. That's probably a honest answer, a honest statement. But if I don't want to do that, I better find a way not to do that, right? I don't want to have a crash, so I better drive better. I better drive safer. So how do I get, look, each of us do what?
What you're describing is an intrinsic change. It's an intrinsic motivation. And that's kind of the difference too. Extrinsic is a doctor, my spouse, my company tells me I should make a change. Intrinsic is saying, no, wait a minute. I care about this. I want to be healthier. I want to be well. I want to make the change. That's igniting the change within, which is kind of my tagline. Ignite the change within. And once that lit has been lit, then you got to begin to take those steps to understand, what am I doing with food and activity? Why am I doing it? And what are the small steps I can change? And I will tell you that diet culture has made everybody believe that it's all about weight loss. It's all about weight loss. Well, I will tell you that I have a disordered eating in my past, and I was at my lowest weight as an adult, and I was my most unhealthy and my most unhappy. So it's not just about a number on a scale and making a change on the number of scale and suddenly magically everything changes and is better. It's about how you fuel your body. It's about how many additives and preservatives you're putting in your body. It's about the right nutrients. It's not about a diet fad. It's about healthy and whole living. And it all fits together as a big puzzle. And so we have to start having different conversations. We have to start saying, okay, it's not about a diet. It's about a culture of my life. A culture of wellness, a culture of living a healthy and whole life. If I use stress to manage, use food to manage stress, or if I use cigarettes to manage stress, I'm still using something to manage stress that's not healthy for me. So I've got to deal with the stress in a different way and understand that stress is the issue. It's not the eating or the way I'm coping with it. Alcohol, it doesn't matter what you're using to stress with life stressors, work stressors, money stressors, health stressors, relationship stressors. You have to be able to recognize the stressors, and you have to be able to understand, what am I doing that's making me healthy? What's the things that I'm doing that are making me unwell? And what are the steps that I need to take to make it different? And you might need a coach to help you see it in a different way.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. It's really hard to identify our own negative behaviors, because I think each of us are guilty of, more than anything else in a day, lying to ourselves about what we do right, what we do wrong. It's denial. I mean, I'm good at it. I guess my best one is, oh, I'm fine. I got this. I'm okay. When you're really not okay. I mean, there's a reason that hurts. I mean, there's a reason you don't feel good. And denying it and not facing it and dealing with it is not a good thing. And that's what you're talking about, not denying that stress is helping you to cause some of these problems, and not facing it. I'll tell you, what do we do to go get a coach? Now, I know you are a coach. You are in this Wellness Solutions at LIT. You offer that. How do we go? What does a coach do for us when they walk in the door? Because I'm going to want instant results for my dollar.
And what I'm going to tell you is that there is no instant results, and that you will get out of it as much as you put into it. And a lot of times you have to do that discovery. That's kind of what the journaling book is all about, to kind of help us uncover and discover. I'm also a registered dietitian, so I'm bringing that medical management along with the health coaching side of it, because they're kind of the pieces all fit together. Most people have at least one medical condition that they're dealing with, and so that's nutrition therapy. It's not a diet, it's nutrition therapy to help you manage things. So it's understanding, what are the things that are within your control? How are your emotions feeding into it? How are your thoughts feeding into it? What are the triggers that are triggering you? It's really kind of a whole bigger package. And what a coach brings to the table is a process. They bring a process that helps you kind of identify the what and the why of your behavior. And every coach approaches it a little bit differently. So sometimes you got to, find that right coach that's got the right approach for you. If you're an emotional eater and you're an emotional eater, I'm a good fit for you, because I understand that process. If you're a stress eater, I'm a good fit for that. But I might not be the right fit for somebody who is just all about diet and weight loss and 20 pounds and 30 pounds, because I kind of hang myself out as a non-diet dietitian. I want to focus on nutrition therapy where it's necessary, but I want to move away from the diet culture that says that your weight is everything. We're all body types, and your body type is different than somebody else's body type. And being able to understand what your body type is and the strengths and the weaknesses of that body type is really, really important. Because if you're a more round, endomorph type body type, you're not going to look like the bodybuilder. You just don't have that body type.
I think you're making me feel good about just not being. You're kind of making me feel good about not being perfect.
That's right. There is no perfect. There is no perfect.
There is no perfect. I get it. Hey, Tanya, if anybody wants to reach out to you or talk to you, what's the best way to do that? I mean, I know we can reach you on LinkedIn, but what are some other ways?
litwellnesssolutions.com, and you can see kind of the different coaching and consulting services that I provide. And then you can also reach out via email, Tanya, Tanya, at litwellnesssolutions.com. And I would love to have a conversation. I offer a free consultation for businesses and for individuals that we can just kind of talk through, what are your issues? What could I maybe provide? And am I the right fit?
Well, I do appreciate it. And thanks for coming on again. As always, it is a great topic. It's a much needed discussion, because I really don't think, we do this a lot. We talk about bottom line. We talk about trends. We talk about weather. We talk about all these things that make our lives different, when, you know what? My grandmother used to say, I'm healthy today. I'm happy today. She didn't seem to like, all that other stuff didn't matter. But she was smarter than the most of us. I'll tell you what, before you get out of here, I like to ask every one of our guests to state their name, who they're with, and that you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Can you do that for me?
I sure can. Hi, I'm Tanya Jolliffe, founder of LIT Wellness Solutions, and you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Thanks, Tanya. I appreciate you a lot. You have a great and safe day, okay?
Thank you.
All righty. That was Tanya. We'll be back in just a second. I don't think we've got much going on in regards to safety, but we're going to just jump in with No Crash Crystal. She's coming in just a minute. We'll be right back. All right, and we got cool charts and graphs up here. Always dig those here on the show. I need to get out of the way. You can throw those up here in a minute. We're going to talk a little bit about challenges today, right? A little bit more on the list of challenges. What is and what isn't. What's this one?
It is animal strikes, what's eligible and not eligible. If you are trying to swerve to miss an animal, whether it be a deer, a cow, a puppy, whatever, that is not recommended due to striking another object or car, so it would not be eligible. You're better off just to, hate to say it, but stay in your lane and do what you have to do to try to avoid the situation, but do not cross lines. Just, if you have to hit it, you have to hit it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. A lot of the times in training drivers over the years, it's important to let them know that the lives of the people on the road and yourself are way more important than the animal that you may or may not see, and that sometimes if you step out in front of a big truck doing 70 miles an hour, it's usually not going to end well for anything.
Yeah, but you being a driver though, if you swerve sometimes, even if there's not other traffic that you could potentially hit, it could still cause you to lose control of your truck,
100%.
and worse things happen than just having a broken headlight or bent fender or radiator issue. So
yeah, exactly. So unfortunately, even though it is loss of life, it still has the opportunity in it. But we're talking about eligibility in challenging, and if you hit an animal, even insurance and stuff understands that is a no fault, and that applies there as well as striking an animal who wanders out into the road. Now don't target them. Yeah,
and throw them in the back of your truck, and
because it's deer season. That's that we don't count that. We don't do that. We don't.
But so even if there's some debris on the road, a tree or something, still they understand that, we hate to hit a log or something, but do that, don't swerve. They're trying to keep you from swerving.
No swerving. Be careful, be safe. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here today. Hey, we appreciate everybody out there joining us on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We ask that you be careful, be safe, and be happy. See y'all later.